Hi there, I'm Clarence Waldron. Welcome back to Black Muse. Tonight's guest is Marvita D'Antignac. She is the owner of the iconic Woodshop Art Gallery on 75th Street. She also, along the way, hosted Annie Lee in the beginning of her career, and she did her very first exhibit at this art gallery. So I'm going to stop now and let her tell her great story. Hi there.
Hi, Clarence. How are you?
I am well. I am well. Thank you for being here. So let's start it at the top. How many years have you been in business?
We've been in business for 51 years this year.
Whoa, whoa. Did you ever dream that it would last this long?
No,
What,
you know,
why is that?
sometimes you when you start a business, uh, you're just focusing on building that business and not focusing so much on how long it's going to last. And as you go along through the years, it's sometimes you don't even remember how many years you've been in business until you get close to a major anniversary, say your 10th year, your 20th year. And in our 30th year is when we had the huge celebration. Years prior to that, we were just building and working and, not counting the years. And so when 30th was staring us in the face, we knew we had to do something and do and do something big.
Yes.
And so that's when we had our major celebration, the 30th year and the 32nd year, because on the 30th year, we had the women artists. And we were dealing with so many women artists that we had to narrow it down to maybe our top five and from different parts of the country. And so then we didn't have the funds or the know how to integrate the men in with the women. And so we waited 2 years later, we had the men celebrate the 32nd anniversary. And, uh, and from there on, we realized what we had.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Now, is this your second location?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Where was your,
we started off at a little small one store at 314 East 95th Street, block and a half west of King Drive. And it he started off as a cabinet shop, not so much as a gallery.
oh,
It was a cabinet shop, and he made picture frames. And so that's where the interest in the art came in, with our customers coming in for the picture frames more so than for the cabinets. And actually, I believe around that time, this was like he started in 1974. And I believe like custom cabinets, he got some custom work, but the frames began to overshadow the cabinets.
hmm,
And so that's what happened.
got it. Now, let's take a minute to stop there. Your
Hmm.
customers always called your husband Dan.
Yes.
What was his full name? And explain to me why he preferred to be called Dan.
Well, his name was Lawrence Calvin D'Antignac. Nobody could pronounce that last name.
Wait a minute, including me.
Nobody. They would call him all kind of Datnac or just butcher the name. And so he cut it down to Dan. And so then most of the customers called him Dan. They were very comfortable with that. He was very comfortable with that. And I think he's an ex-Marine. And so I think a lot of his Marine friends probably called him Dan too. And so he was stuck with Dan.
Got it. What kind of name is that? Is that a Caribbean name or what is that?
You know, he did have his ancestry thing from his family traced.
Hmm.
And the Antonac, I hate to put it like that, but it was just one of those. The D'Antignacs were from they were from Georgia.
Oh, really?
Down around Savannah, Georgia, there's a lot of D'Antignacs, and in different parts of Georgia. I know Savannah and I can't think of the other large city there. There's a D'Antignac Street. There's a D'Antignac Church, and he had a nephew that went down there, and he brought us back some pictures of a church van that had D'Antignac on it, and then he brought us pictures of the street sign. That's
Oh,
the street sign was not in Savannah. It was in another part of Georgia that's not too far from Savannah, and so we can pretty much say it was probably a slave name
okay.
that was passed down. Hmm.
Right, right. Now, is there a connection between Dr. Margaret Burroughs, who was the founder of the DuSable, and the wood shop? Is there a connection there at all?
Oh, it's a strong connection
Oh,
uh, pertaining to the arts. We did a lot of jumping on that because we started frequenting the Southside Community Arts Center, keeping up with all the events and things that was going on. And the Arts Center always held an auction uh, every year to raise funds. And I don't know whether you were part of that or not, but that brings in the Johnson Publishing Company because a lot of Johnson's people were connected with the Arts Center. But I don't want to get too far ahead on that. But how we got connected with Margaret Burroughs, or she connected with us, was when the customers started asking about artwork and did we sell artwork? And our place was so small on 95th Street that as he finished the work, he really didn't have anywhere to store. So we had this one wall. And so he would hang the finished pieces on this wall. And, people passing by thinking they could come in and buy it. It wasn't for sale because it belonged to the customers. He just didn't have anywhere to store it safely until they picked it up. And so, uh, with our connection with going to the events and things at the Southside Community Arts Center, Margaret Burroughs naturally was just a great resource and friend. And he went down there to talk to her, and she got very interested in what he was doing. And I say he was doing because at the time, I wasn't, the first 18 years that he was in business, I had a full time job, so I wasn't able to help him at the wood shop.
hmm.
And so, he did a lot of that building for those first 18 years without me. And, actually being on board to help him. And so that's why I'm just so happy to give him all this credit because he did that and the kids were growing up. They were still in school. And so he was responsible for them when they got out of school to come by the wood shop every day. And, he was teaching them along the way.
Oh, okay.
And so that's how they got a lot of their experience with him actually teaching them how to do all these things that he was doing. And so he went and he spoke to Dr. Burroughs, and she let him know that there was a convention coming up in Detroit of
Hmm,
the National Conference of Artists.
hmm.
And she said, "Well, I'd like for you to go with me." And I got a couple of teachers that want to go, and so he said yes, that he would go. And so he took he took Margaret Burroughs and other two teachers, and they all drove to Detroit for about 3 days for this conference. And she introduced him. She knew every artist in the country,
Absolutely.
and she introduced him to all of these people. And by that introduction coming from her, there was just no hesitation in them dealing with him when he got back. And then we got the news that we were going to have to move from 314 East 95th Street because the little store was owned by a church and they wanted it to use it for an after school program. So we had to hurry up and find somewhere to move to. And so he made up his mind. He said, well, we're going to have to buy something because I never want to have to do this again. Grab up all your stuff and move at the spur of the moment. He said, the next thing we get, we're going to own it. And so we started going out looking for places. In the meantime, Margaret had made all these connections for us. And, but at the time, we couldn't take her up on all of it because we were in the midst of trying to find a larger place.
Yes.
And so we didn't want to be too far away from King Drive. So we found this place at 441 East 95th Street that was right near King Drive. We're a block and a half east of King Drive. And was a little on the raggedy side. So it took us several months after purchasing the place. It took us several months before we could actually get in here and start doing business. And after that, it was just full steam ahead.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we,
you're referring to 75th Street.
yes, 441 East 75th Street.
Yes.
That's where we ended up, and that's where we're at right now.
Yes.
441 East 75th Street.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to bring back the 75th Street area.
Yes, they are.
Yes. How do you feel about that? Are you optimistic that they're gonna be able to bring back the glory days?
I think so. When we moved here, the street was bustling. Every store was full when we moved here. And just through the years, as people began to die off or they wanted to retire, most of them didn't own those buildings that they were, had their businesses in. And, that caused a bit of uh, a vacancy problem. And, but we wanted to hang in here. And so that's what we did. And so now this revitalization program is going on pretty strong. And so, it's time for me to step out of the way. And my sons have been doing a very good job. Their dad left a blueprint for them to follow. And naturally they wanted to tweak it, and you have to upgrade and change things and modernize things and that kind of thing. But I and then we're zoned. We're in the right zone for what we're doing. We can't do this anywhere that we choose
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
because of the machinery and the things that we have to use. I don't know whether you've ever been to the back part of the workshop.
No.
Uh-huh. And so that kind of thing has to be zoned properly. And so everything looks like it's gonna come back. It's very encouraging as far as I'm concerned. It's very encouraging. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes. Now I do know that Johnson Publishing Company always supported the wood shop.
They sure do.
Everybody from Lerone Bennett to Bob Johnson and whoever else, including me, would
Yes.
come by there because
Right.
when I first came there, they said that the best place to go for your artwork and all that stuff is the wood shop. I said,
Right.
really? And I've been with y'all ever since.
We
But
certainly have.
talk to me about the Johnston folks who would come there. Any memories of them stopping by, what they would buy, or?
He had very uh, good customers, and I was trying to think of some names that you didn't have on your list. I know that Charles Sanders was a great customer
Mm,
with not so much as buying the art, but having his stuff framed. He had just tons of stuff. And then there was Sylvia Flanagan. She was a frequent purchaser of the art and having frames done.
hmm
And then there was all the names that you named, and I was trying my darndest to make sure that no names got left out.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to do because what he used to do is when he was delivering something, and Mr. Johnson used to do a lot of business. I remember we did a room over at his church. He belonged to Woodlawn AME Church, and he wanted that whole room full of the past deacons and people in the church. And so Dan made all of those frames for that whole room, and we had one of our employees went over there and hung the stuff for Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson was a terrific, just just a very kind businessman, and he paid you promptly. He never wanted any of his small businesses to be hanging, waiting forever for their money, and so he was very conscientious of that. But most of the work that we did, Dan would be delivering something to Johnson and then picking up stuff from Mr. Temple, Mr. Nipson, and I'm sure there are more names that I can't
Like
remember
Mr.
right off the
Hunter.
bat.
Yeah, Norman Hunter. Do you remember that name?
Yes,
Norman
I
Hunter?
remember the Norman Hunter
Yeah.
name,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just so many of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know who was with Jet, who was with uh, the Ebony.
Anthony.
Yes, but it was a constant flow. So
Right.
we're forever grateful to the Johnson Publishing Company for being supportive of us like that.
Yes. Yes. Now
And it
let's
all started with the Southside Community Arts Center, with some of their people attending the functions, and my husband giving away the free frames. He would
oh
do at least 5 free frames during that auction. And
okay.
most of the people that were buying and spending the money were the Johnson Publishing Company people.
Cool,
Mm.
cool, cool. Now, let's talk about the famed artist Annie Lee. Now, her very first exhibit was at the art gallery. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. It was. Uh, there's a little backstory to that. Dan and Annie Lee went to grammar school together and graduated from grammar school, and they went to high school. They both went to Wendell Phillips High School, and they graduated at the same time. So they've known each other from, I guess, I want to say kindergarten, but I'll say at least first grade, all the way through high school.
Wow.
And he went to the military. She got married, and at I guess she was always dabbling with the arts. Even as a little girl, she was winning contests and different things. But he said he wasn't aware of that. I remember her telling him the story, and he didn't remember all of that part of it. But somehow or another, she found out that he was had a business on 95th Street, and she made connections with him then. But at the time, she was working for the railroad, and and she told him all that she could do. And so eventually it took him, I guess, about 3 or 4 years to get this situation together. And so after we moved here on 95th Street, and he started thinking about giving her doing a show, and so he told her she would have to have at least 30 pieces. And she's raising a family, working a job, and that
Mm-hmm.
was a difficult thing for her to do. So it took her a couple of years in order to get that show together, but it was a success.
Wow.
It was a big success. And so then that just let her know that she needed to be a full-time artist. And so eventually she did leave the railroad and uh, and became a full-time artist.
Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
Now, are there plans going on now to honor her? Do you
You
know?
know, I'm with her, uh, uh, in touch with her daughter constantly, and she hasn't mentioned anything, but she would keep me abreast if there was something going on,
Right.
because her and I did a podcast on Annie and the wood shop. It's been about 4 months ago that we did this podcast with Dr. Marshall Noble.
Oh, I know her because she was on our show.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. And we haven't seen it's supposed to be edited, and she's gonna because she came here to the wood shop, and we taped it right here in
Yeah.
in the Annie Lee room. We got an Annie Lee room
Oh,
here.
do you?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And so
Okay.
we taped it there. So you'll probably get a chance to see it before we see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she was very happy with what we did.
Nice. Nice.
Mhm.
Nice. Tell me about any of the other, famous artists' work that you have there. I'm sure there's other people as well.
Oh, absolutely. Uh,
Mm.
People that we carry and sell on a regular basis is Charles Bibbs. He's out of California. There's John Holyfield. I believe he's out of Virginia. And there's Paul Goodnight. He's out of Boston. Patrick Thompson is a local artist whose originals that we sell. And this artist has just been deceased just this past year. He's deceased, but we still have some of his work. And there's Barnett Honeywood, she's deceased, and we still sell her work. And naturally, there's Annie Lee, and I'm sure there are a few more. I couldn't, I wasn't able to get all of the names this morning, but those are the top people that we sell on a regular basis.
Certainly. Okay. I'm sure your husband Dan is smiling down from heaven at the work that you and your sons are doing to keep the wood shop alive.
Yes. I know, I know that he never doubted that they would step in and keep things going. And he wanted me to. I don't know how long he thought I was going to be able to, to head up the situation, because I was kind of his background person that took care of the business and the money and I would wait on customers sometime, but my job was mainly in the background. And so I'm doing what I can to help them. I usually come in sometimes on Saturdays, just as the goodwill ambassador, and greeting the customers that come in, and that kind of thing. But I know he's happy. I know
Yes.
that he's happy with what's going on.
Yes. Yeah. How do you view the legacy of the wood shop? Have you ever thought about that? The legacy
You
down the
know,
line?
at some point, I would probably have some strong words on that, but right now, he's been gone almost 3 years, and we have just been so busy.
That is so good.
And I'm so happy that the customers didn't leave when he left, because a lot of times that happens.
Yep.
But and but they've been very busy. They've been trying their best to keep up with the work, and because it's very difficult to find people that are trained in doing this kind of work, and so that's always a problem. But I think they've been doing a very good job. He left a blueprint, and they've had to tweak it and do some of the things in their own way and make some changes of the way that he was doing things, but still they've managed to keep the old customers, and they managed to attract a lot of new customers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad that the people trust them, with their work, because some of the work that we take in is valuable.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Yes. And so far it's just been good.
Nice. Nice. I can't believe our time is basically up. Um, anything else that you would like to share while I got you here? Anything else on your mind today?
Oh, I wish did I read that question? I don't think so. Uh, I think we've just about covered everything. There's a long version to this story and there's a short version. We kind of did the short version today.
Exactly. We did a
Yeah,
short version.
we
Okay.
did the short version today.
Yes. Yes.
Because everything that I said, there's just a lot more to it
Do
than
it. Yes.
than meets the eye.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but I've enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
I hope that I gave you most of the information that you needed.
You were excellent. You were absolutely excellent. So I thank you for your time today. Really. Thank you.
And I'm so glad to see you,
Oh, I'm
even
glad.
if it's just on the video.
Yeah, I'm
You
glad.
were always one of our best writers. I mean, the best writer that Jet ever had, and your photographer. I remember her. She was always so very good.
That Deborah Meeks.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yep, she was.
Wow.
So I remember her very well. She took excellent photographs and with your excellent writing. I'm just so glad that I know you guys.
Well, I'm glad that I know you too. Yes,
Mhm.
indeed. But so thank you for your time. But before we close, I want to give a quick shout out to Howard Sandifer and his wife Darlene Sandifer. They
Okay.
are the founders of the Chicago West Community Music Center, a
Oh,
great school on the West Side.
okay.
This whole video podcast was their idea. They said,
Oh,
let's have lively conversation with exciting newsmakers like yourself. You know what I mean? So thank you to them. And for my viewers, we need to get our numbers up, y'all. So please click like and subscribe. Please click like and subscribe. Thank you
and
very much. And I'll see y'all next week.
one thing I need to tell you, one last thing that I forgot. We have a street sign that's being named for Dan, and it's going to be in the month of August. You're going to be contacted as soon as I get the exact date and time.
I would love to be there.
I want you to be there.
Oh,
I want you to be my special guest there.
that will be beautiful.
And
Thank you.
I should know
Wow.
something before this week is out. I'll know the time and the date, and I'll call you personally myself and let you know the time and the date, and we'll host you. You might want to have a few words to say. I don't know exactly how the program is going to go.
Okay,
I'm not in
okay.
charge of that. But if you want to say a couple of words, you're going to be welcome to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
Okay.
All
All right.
righty. All
Mhm.
righty. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Clarence.
Thank you.
Bye now.